Right, so don't forget that we have a notes for this class, and then that is why we are going to be opening this. If you open this link which you have access to, then if you come to the next page, you will see the tools that we are going to be using. We are going to be using Python. The link to download it is there. We are going to be using Git. You need to make sure that you have downloaded Git and also install it with admin privileges. So what you just need to do is download it. Once you right click, then make sure that you install as an admin if you are using a Windows system. Right, so once you have been able to install all the setup, then we can then go ahead to look at the component of the website, the forms. We're going to see it in practice as we go ahead to implement what we are building. Right, so we start on this note by creating our application. In this system, we're going to be using a Next.js application. Right, so let's go ahead to open our Visual Studio Code, and that is the editor that we are going to be using to write our code. So now that we are here, all you just need to do is to, once you have opened your VS Code, just click on open folder, or you go here file, then you go to open folder. So once you go to open folder, you can create your folder, go to desktop. Just note that we should not use a folder name with capital letter. So I will just go ahead to open another folder. Alright, so go ahead to open, not file now, folder, go file, open folder. So let's go to desktop or anywhere you want to create your app. I'll go to new folder. Make sure that your folder name is in lowercase. Press enter, DeliverX. I'll just call it the name of my app. Alright, so once I've been able to do that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'll open my terminal. To open the terminal, just go to this 3 dots terminal, then go to new terminal. So once you do that, then you can then say, you should also make sure that your terminal is in Git bash. So just go to this drop down and ensure that you switch to Git bash. You should have it if you actually have your Git installed. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is to check if Node.js is installed, because that is what we are going to be using to create our application. So I will do Node v. Alright, so to check if Node is actually installed, let me see if I can increase the font size. Alright, so now I'm sure that Node is actually installed. So once I've been able to do that, following the guide of our notebook that we have, I want to clear the terminal. I'll just use clear. Alright, so then now I will now create a Nest application by running npm create Nest app, and I want to create it inside that current directory. So once I do that, then I'll be able to create my Nest application. So it's taking some time to run. So once it's run, then I'll be able to create the Nest application. Alright, so now we have it. I am not going to use TypeScript, so I'll say no. I am not going to use ESLint. I'm not going to use Tailwind CSS. For this, I will say yes. Also for the app router, I will say yes. And now for this, I will say no. So I will give my app some time to install. Alright, so now that we have been able to successfully install application, then what I will just do is to run the application. So we have been able to install a Next.js application, and these are the folders that we have. We have the readme file, which is just some markdowns that tell you something about the application. Also, you have the package.json, which has the dependencies that you'll be using in your application. Alright, so we also have the Nest config, which is actually the file that is used to configure your Next.js application, and also your JavaScript compiler, which is the JS config file, and also the git ignore file, which is the file that has the file that you don't want to include when pushing your application to GitHub. And also we have the source file, which has our application file, and this is our page module CSS. This is our page, which is the default URL. Also the layout, which has the parent component for the page, and also the global CSS. and also the icon, the file icon, and then the public file it has the static files. And also this node modules is actually a very heavy file which you must ensure that you add to your git ignore file. So this node module actually contain the dependencies that your application need to run. So now that we have been able to do that, now that we have our Next.js application, we now try to run the application. To run the application based on what we have in our notebook, just click on npm. If you come to your package file, you see there's a function that allows you to run, so which is the dev. So I'll just say npm run dev. So with that, we are going to be able to run our application. So you can see the application has started on localhost 3000. So what I just need to do is just to copy this URL. To copy, just highlight it. Then after you highlight it, just do Ctrl+C once, because if you do it twice, it might stop your application. Alright, so I'll just open the browser, then I'll open a new tab, then I'll go Ctrl+V, or I can just do the localhost 3000 manually. So once the application is running, then you can just localhost 3000. So that is where you are going to be able to open your Next.js application. Alright, so now that we have been able to do that, you see the application running. Let's just be sure that we have been able to install the application, and let's run it to see if it is running. It's taking some time to load. We are going to be having it, and now you can see that our Next.js application is actually, we have been able to successfully install it, and also it is running successfully. Right, so now let's go back to application and do some cleanup. Before we do this cleanup, let us just stop the server. To stop the server, just do Ctrl+C or Command+C. That will stop the server and your application will not be running. So let's do some cleanup now. Let's just delete what we did not need, so that we'll be focused. We have a more focused files that we want to work on. So I'll just delete this page module CSS. I'll just delete. Let's just delete this. And this is our, let's call it the home page. So this is our home page, but because I want us to use arrow function, so I'll just say const. Let's just change this to const home, sorry about that, home. So that is just to convert it to arrow function. Then I'll just say export default home. Right, so we have that. So I can just close this. So once you click on all this sidebar, you'll be able to close the file. So I'll just delete everything, and I'll just use an h1 tag, which is the first header tag in our HTML. So I'll just say this the home page. This is the home page. So definitely I don't need the page module.css again. I don't need the image from Next.js again. So I will save that. Then also, if you come to the global.css, there are some CSS files that come inbuilt with Next.js. I actually do not need it. I'll just say, but I want to still be using that file to save my CSS. So I will leave it. I will not delete it. Also with this, I should import this. Then I should need this. I should also need this. So I can just call this DeliverX, which is the name of my application. DeliverX, and the description can be blockchain based supply chain management system. All right, so we have that. So let's just leave everything untouched. So now that we have that, to be sure the application is still working after the cleanup, then the best way to check is just to run it again. Now to run it again, since you have run the npm run dev command before, all you just need to do is just to press the up arrow key so that you bring back the command. So if you press the up arrow key on your keyboard, it will bring back the previous command that you run. So once you bring it back, then you just press enter so that you can run it. And once it is running, you can just open your browser to see if it is running. Then you can just refresh that same server. Then instead of it to have this inbuilt design from Next, then we are going to be having that particular. So you can see this is the home page that is coming from this particular point. This is your default page. This page.js is your default page. So you can see that this is the home page is coming from here. So whatever you put here will be seen as your major file. That's like a home page, which is the default file that Next will look for upon starting the application. So now that we have been able to do cleanup, let us now go ahead to add a styling library. So the styling library that we are going to be using is Bootstrap. We are going to be using Bootstrap for our styling. So if you come to this notebook, you see that I added a link. So if you open this link, you will see the link to the library that we're going to be using, which is the React Bootstrap. So it allows us to add Bootstrap to our project. So what we are going to be doing according to this instruction is we are told to just install React Bootstrap and also Bootstrap. So let us go ahead to do that. So you can also check this documentation to get information about what you need to do, about how to go about your installation. Alright, so we are going to open our application again. So I will stop it. Then based on the instruction, I will start by installing React Bootstrap, and then I'll say Bootstrap. So I will wait for that to install. Alright, so now that we have been able to install React Bootstrap and also we have been able to install Bootstrap, so all you now need to do is to add that particular Bootstrap CSS to your global CSS file. So I've put the link there in our notebook. So I'll just paste the link, and also you can also get the link from the documentation, which is this link. So since you are putting it in a global CSS file, then you need to use your import URL. Alright, so now